Alright, today we're going to be changing out the washer motor on a 2017 Ram 1500 Laramie. Now thankfully Dodge made this way more difficult than it needs to be. We're going to start by pulling these guys up all the way across. Then we're going to pop this cap off, undo the bolt that holds that guy down, and then use a gear puller to pull the dang arms off. Something that used to take about 30 seconds on previous Dodges now takes quite more and is a much bigger ordeal. I'll get my tools ready and we'll continue. Now for this is fairly simple. Get a small flathead, pop your cover off, and you will see your bolt there. I believe it's a 15 millimeter. Double check. I got this modified 15 millimeter for another project. Will work fine for this. And we're just going to take this off. Now if you haven't seen this, this is where I get slightly agitated. This guy is pressed onto here. Now I've read online where people have soaked it, done all kind of mess, pulled it, pried it, broken things, but it seems like the most success comes with a gear puller. Let me go grab gear puller and we'll do that process. Okay, now because I do not have three hands, I pulled it. I've already done it, but let me show you what I did. I used this guy right here. This is from Harbor Freight. I'll even show you the box. They're cheap. This set from Harbor Freight right here, using your internet 20% or 25% off discount. The thing's cheap, maybe 12 bucks. Put this guy on your center nut. Attach your three clips down here and just back it off, and you can actually utilize a, let's see what this was, 9/16 socket, and just slowly back it off and it comes off. Now Dodge, I really appreciate y'all changing the super easy way it was done before. Very convenient. Thank you a lot. Now basically going to repeat it for the middle one. That'll be fun. Got to hang over the engine and finish taking off the cowl, and then we'll go forward. Alright, again we're just going to pull this guy off with our handy dandy. We're going to pull him off nice and rusted. Rust resistant. And who knows, maybe this will just come right off. No. Alright, so let me set up the contraption again to pull this damn thing off. Alright, so real quick, using my handy dandy free moving blanket that you get when you went to Harbor Freight, using your app with your free coupons. Showing you before I utilize it, this is the gear puller set up on this dang wiper blade so it can be pulled off. Now again, I only have two hands, so I can't really film it, but I wanted to show the contraption, what it looks like. Handy dandy socket wrench, and we're going to pull this guy off and then finish taking a cowl off so we can keep working. There are a few things over here, wiper fluid, cables we got to unplug and whatnot, but we'll do that when we get to it. Alright, he came off relatively easy. He was a little more stuck, but then after that you see this guy relatively, well, not relatively, much easier. Just comes off. I may not even have to disconnect anything on that side because everything I want to replace is right here. Now I'm going to just be replacing the motor, hoping that's the only thing that went bad. See, you got your plug right here. You're going to pull him off. Now this, from the dealer, I think cost anywhere from $200 to $1 million, you know, in the dealership. I eBayed this guy for best offer, buy it now, $40. So I'm gonna use it to replace this guy. Then I'm gonna actually take this guy apart and try to see what happened to it, if it's something that's fixable or not, and keep this as a spare. So let me go get that guy. All right, so this is our spare, our new old one, and that's what we're replacing. So everything lines up. Let me get, looks like we got some Torx and a few other things to pull this guy out here, so we can work on it. Let me go grab that stuff. All right, because it'll be way easier to take this whole thing out, the motor and actuating arms to take out to work on. It has 1, 2, and over there 3 10mm bolts. Just gonna pull this guy out and work on it on a nice flat non-Dodge engine surface. One moment. All right, it's out, but I want to make sure I was clarified something. There was not 3 on that far side. I don't know if it's focusing. It's just this piece that slides in right there. So you just have the 1 and 2 that are holding this guy on. So we're gonna go sit down and pull this off and replace the motor. All right, so these guys right here, this is a T30, and this guy right here, I'm probably going to have to use something else to get him off, unless when I release this I can move this guy around. So again, it's just, we look on the new old one, it's fairly easy. 1, 2, 3, and this guy, and we will put him on like this. And I did mark on this guy so I know when I get them off which one is my new old one and which one is my old one. So let me go ahead and start that process, and any point where I'm not using both hands, I'll put the camera on. FYI, this arm moves fairly easy, so it looks like the motor is not locked. It just does not want to run for me. So I moved him down so I could access that, and also the nut right there. Alright guys, so FYI, this guy right here was on here pretty tight. I don't know the torque specs, I haven't looked it up, but it was on pretty good. I had to pull out some heavy duty equipment to get him off, but he's off. Now we're going to swap him over. Alright guys, so if you look real close, you'll see this also has splines that the top piece goes down into, so it is going to take a little bit more jimmying to get them off of there. So I'm going to continue that and give you an update and show you what it took to get it done. Alright, got them off. Basically used a trusty screwdriver and an easy twisting motion on each side until he came off. I was going to use the gear puller, but this is really too small and it didn't look like it was really necessarily needed. So let me get the new old one mounted up. Alright guys, new old mounted up. Gonna clean this guy off just a little bit before I put it back on there. It's not terrible, but you know, since I have it off, and I'll hopefully never have to do this again while I own the truck, clean them up a little bit, lube them up. Now again, as I said, this end, you just slide it in there, and these others, I haven't put the bolts on, they go right on there, and your 10mm bolts go right up in there. I'm going to do that, plug this power in, and just give it a quick test. Alright guys, so as you can see, truck is running, wipers are on, and they look to be turning. So we will put this back together and make sure that they are turning in the directions they are supposed to turn. A couple things I've noticed real quick. One's really aggravating. This piece, I get the liner, whatever they put on here, is ridiculously horrible. I can't imagine it lasted longer than the 30 minutes it took them to put this on there. Looks like they didn't even take off whatever that is. And then the second is I recorded this whole thing vertical and not horizontal, and that would piss me off if I was watching. So I totally understand if there's some people that are going to be aggravated. This is mainly just to help the few people out there that need a little assistance just to start. Most of you will have the technical ability to keep going, but just mainly about these damn taking these arms off was the main concern. But other than that, again, I apologize for recording it vertical, not horizontal. My bad. Also, as an FYI, when you're putting this guy on, remember the back of this has clips underneath here that you have to push up in there and then push this guy up before you can before it'll seat properly and you can fit your little pieces in there and whatnot for this seal. Not a perfect seal, but it is the seal that you're given. Alright, well, I'm back to this point again. I pulled my cowl back off and undid this nut right here, because whenever I put everything back together, had my wipers on, they would not go all the way to the top. They stopped halfway. And in further inspection, when I pulled this guy off and put the new one on, I didn't know or didn't think to have anything marked so I would be at the right spot, so this arm, you know, so it would know where the wipers would be. So I got to pop this guy off. I didn't take it out this time. I'm going to pop this guy off, pull it up, move it over a hair, put a wiper on, and go through that painful process. So in the future, what I would recommend for someone doing this, getting a paint marker, marking where you are on this guy, and I would probably even do that with this and the wiper, so you know that you're putting everything on right back where it was. So don't do what I did. Do as I say, not as I did, because this was done and now I have to go back and spend another, I don't know how long, getting all this straight. So again, make sure you mark this before you pull it off, so you know, and you can look on your, well, honestly, you have to tell me how that works, because on your new one it will not be marked. So maybe there's a pin marking a similar location on both new and old. I didn't look. I didn't even think to. I didn't look. So you'll have to look and see if that's the case. But so that's what I'm going to do now. Alright guys, sorry about the wind noise. It's obviously about to storm here, which is why I was trying to do all this. But it's all done. They're back up there. Kyle's up there. Engine still needs to be cleaned. Highly, highly, highly recommend to mark the spot. Use a paint pen where you take that off, and on the motor itself, mark it, because it is a pain in the ass to hunt and peck and to trial and error get the arms to where they're going their full distance up and down. Learn from my mistake. Apologize for quality of the video, again being vertical. I could kick myself for doing that, but it is what it is. So I hope this helps somebody out there.